Welcome back. So today what we're going to talk about is how we can continue these text animations. So if you recall last week, we learned how we can add a basically color background in Premiere, which was that blue. We learned how we can add a text layer, which it says, I am Mr. Haas. And then we learned how to do some keyframe animating. And that's to get this text to move side to side. So the first thing that we do is we activate our text clip here. And then we go up to Effect Controls, right? We want to make sure, it may look like this when you open it on the top left here. You want to click this arrow next to text and then scroll down, okay? And then click this arrow next to Transform. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to start talking about how we can position this and move this across the screen. So we first want to move this to where we want our animation to start, and that is going to be about right there. We want it to start off of the page. And once I do that, I'm going to click this position scale, and that adds a keyframe. You can see the little keyframe there. I might be able to move this. Perfect. Now I'm going to move this meter to where I want my key, basically my text, to stop. Then I'm going to position, I'm going to slide this across to the middle because that's where I want my text to stop. Okay. Now it automatically adds a keyframe there. Okay. Now I'm going to move this over just a little bit because I want this to stay in the middle for maybe a second, maybe, half of a second or so. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit. We can adjust it later. Okay. I'm going to add a keyframe here, so I'm going to click Add or Remove Keyframe. Okay. And then I'm going to move my meter to the end of my clip. So I go down here and I'll move it to the end because I want my text to end off the screen there. So now I'm going to slide this across to go like that, and it automatically adds a keyframe. So let's hit the spacebar and see what happens. So I'll move my meter here. So I'm going to hit the spacebar. I'll hit play here. And it slides in, stops, and slides out. Okay. So that's it looks good. It's just a little bit quick. So I'm going to increase the space between these two keyframes. So I'll make this a little longer so that it sits in the middle a little longer. Now let's see. Sit and go. Perfect. Now that looks good, but we can make it look better. We're going to make it smoother. So I'm going to actually highlight. I'm going to click, hold, and draw a box around these two keyframes. Okay. And then I'm going to right click and go to this crazy weird word, which is temporal interpolation. And this basically allows us to give more fluidity to this motion. So I'm going to go to continuous Bezier. That adds an effect, and we'll see here how this looks. So the continuous Bezier, see how it kind of slowly bounces in and bounces out? We can make that even more drastic. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this position arrow, and this weird pie graph or weird graph shows up. Basically, this shows how it goes in fast and slows down, and then it stops. And then it increases speed and goes out. So we're going to slow this motion. So I'm going to click this little dot to the left and pull it all the way. And then I'm going to click this dot to the right and pull it all the way. And now, watch how this creates a much more fluid motion. So much better. So much better how quickly or how slowly that kind of bounces in. And we can still kind of move these if we wanted to and kind of play with them. Just like that. I might even move this one a little over more and see if that slows it down. So that is how you kind of adjust the speed and add that text animation. So there we go. So that's how we would do our text animations for each one. Now we'll learn how to do one that goes from top to bottom when we get to our next clip. So your objective for today is to get that completed and then make sure that you go to File, Save. If you wanted to, we can now add our next clip where we would basically add another color matte. Again, I can click this little new item. I can go color matte. And maybe, you know, this one could be another blue if you wanted it to go, or maybe it could go to a different color. And I can add this here. And then we can add maybe our next text animation where it says, I am 18 years old, or I am 23 years old. All right. So today, if you finish that first animation, I'd like you to add another color matte and then add your next text animation. All right. Good luck.